Hello, accounting superstars. This is Professor Don Bush. I've been a professor for about 30 years and a CPA for about that long, and I've got great ways to explain accounting. You've come to the right place here, folks. At this channel, we learn how to do accounting, and today's lesson is about the break-even point and the margin of safety. Not too bad. I've got a great example here, so let's get started. So what we have here, we have a traditional income statement, an income statement that you've learned back in Principles of Accounting 1, and it's the most popular form of income statement. And if you see income statements in financial reports, chances are really good this is what you'll see. Now, the only problem with these traditional income statements is that they're not very good in figuring out how the company's doing. Surprisingly, you think that they could do a little better than this, but it's the way it is. So here's what's going on with the traditional income statement. We've got sales of $500,000, cost of goods sold, and they have a gross margin of $200,000, selling expenses, administrative expenses, and net income. Now in this format, we can't tell at all what the break-even point is or the margin of safety. So what we need is a little bit more information, and we need to rearrange things, and we can figure it out really quite quickly. So here we go. Here's the first step, folks. Now, here's some assumptions. And these assumptions do not hold true for all companies. I just made this up. It's just for this problem only. Different companies have different variable and fixed cost combinations. So assumption number one, here we go. Assumption number one, cost of goods sold is 40% variable and 60% fixed. So in other words, cost of goods sold is $300,000. 40% of it is variable and 60% fixed. Well, we'll write it all out here in a second. Coming down here to selling expenses. Selling expenses are $60,000. Now, selling expenses, 80% variable and 20% fixed. Administrative expenses are 100% fixed. Okay, so variable costs. So 40% of cost of goods sold. And where am I getting that? Well, from right down here, from these assumptions. Cost of goods sold is 40% variable and 60% fixed. So all we need to do is take this $300,000, multiply it by 40%, and we will have the variable portion. There it is, 120,000. And since we're working on cost of goods sold, why don't we just finish it up here? And so fixed cost, 60% of cost of goods sold. So if you recall, 40% is variable, 60% is fixed. So if we go 300,000 times 60%, 180,000. Let's go down to the selling expenses. 80% of the selling expenses are variable. And again, where are we getting this? Well, we're just getting it from our assumptions. And again, this does not hold true for all companies. I just made this up. So selling expenses, 80%, 20% fixed. Here we are. So selling expenses, $60,000. 80% of that is variable. There we go. And then the rest, the 20% is fixed. Now coming down here, folks, 100% of the 100% of the administrative expenses are fixed. So administrative expenses are $50,000. We'll put it right down here. So all we need to do now is let's just get grand totals. So the total variable costs are $168,000. I'm going to highlight that in a different color than that. There we go. Just so it stands out a bit. And our total fixed costs, all we're going to do is add up this column and we get $242,000, and I'll highlight that also. Now, what we'll do next is we'll scroll down here and we're going to do a contribution margin income statement. Really easy, and I need to just get things straightened around here. Sales. Now, sales aren't going to change at all. All we're doing is moving around the numbers a little bit. Same numbers, we're just moving around. So sales is $500,000. Let's put that in there. Minus the variable cost. Now we just figured that out just a moment ago. So here's our variable cost, $168,000 right there. And to get the contribution margin, all you do is subtract 500,000 minus 168, 332,000. And by the way, folks, it'd be a real good idea just to memorize this contribution margin income statement. It is so useful. You're going to use it so many times in your classes. Just go ahead and memorize it. Minus the fixed costs, we figured that out just a moment ago, 242,000. And our net income, all we need to do is subtract 332 minus 242, and there you have it, 90,000. So I'm going to go back up to the traditional income statement just for a moment. And let's compare the two. The traditional income statement, not real useful, even though that's what we need to use when we report financial results. Sales doesn't change between the two formats. But what we do is we take our expenses and we divide them into variable and fixed expenses. That's all we're doing. We're using the same numbers. We're just rearranging them just a little bit. And net income is going to end up being the same, all right? Because same numbers. I've got my spreadsheet all set up now. I'm ready to go. What I'm doing is I've got a contribution margin income statement down below here in the bottom half. And just to the right, we're going to put in percentages. Now, we've already done the contribution margin income statement. We don't need to recalculate it or anything. The reason why I'm doing it in two separate steps is just so it's easier to follow. You don't need to do it this way. I'm just doing it just to make things simple. We already did the contribution margin income statement and our results are right here. So all I'm doing is I'm taking these numbers and I'm going to just copy and paste them down here. So there they are. They're the exact same numbers. And you might say, why are you doing this? It looks like a lot of extra work. And it is. And I just did it just to keep things simple. I didn't want to make things confusing here. So all we're going to do is figure out the percentages. So here's what you do. Here's the secret. Sales is always, 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 no exceptions, always going to be 100%. Just write down 100%. You don't need to think about it. Now the variable cost percentage, all we're going to do is take 168,000, divide it by 500,000, 34%. And then what we're going to do is figure out the contribution margin percentage. And that's easy. We could do it a couple different ways. One simple way is just take 100% minus 34%, and you get what? 66%. Another way to do it, which is also easy, is you could take 332,000, divide it by sales, and you'll also get 66%. So folks, either way, you'll get the same answer either way there. So coming down here, now folks, before I leave this, don't skip this step. Always find the percentages because they are the key to the problem, all right? We need that. We need these percentages. It's not extra busy work. So let me get the spreadsheet ready for the next section. So what we're going to do is find the break-even point. So here's what we do. The break-even point is where these two lines cross. It's the amount of sales where we're making neither a profit or a loss. So our net income is zero. You can see that our net income here is 90,000. Well, what that means is that we're over here in the green area, we're making a profit. If that was a negative number, we would be in the red. That would mean we're losing money. But the break-even point, that's the amount of sales to break even. So let's figure it out. Easy to do. Here's the formula. It's right here, ladies and gentlemen. Super easy. I'll highlight that. There we go. Fixed costs divided by the contribution margin percentage. So our fixed costs are right here, 242,000. And our contribution margin percentage is right here at 66%. I told you that number was really important. In fact, we really couldn't solve this problem without that contribution margin percentage. So let's figure it out. Here we go. Just write down your fixed costs. Write down the contribution margin, and all you do is divide. That's all you do. So the break-even point is 364,458. That is the point where the company will just break even. And to go back to this picture, right where these lines cross, for this company, it's 364,458. We're not making a profit or a loss. So let's double check our work. Let's see if we're doing a good job. So here we are. All we're going to do is do another contribution margin income statement. And what we'll use for sales is we're not going to use the original sales. But what we'll do is let's use the break-even point sales. The break-even point sales is right here, 364, 458. That's the point where the company is not making a profit or a loss. They're just breaking even. So there we go, 364, 458. And folks, sales is always 100%. Always, always. That never ever changes under any circumstances. Now the variable cost, well, we have to figure that out, but fortunately it's not hard to do. And what we need is we need the variable cost percentage. We need that number right there, that 34%. We figured it out a little while ago. There it is, 34%. Now we can figure out our variable costs. So 364, 458, that's our sales, times 34% is 122, 458. And let's figure out the contribution margin. All we have to do is subtract. There we go, 242. And to figure out the contribution margin percentage, just subtract again. There you are. And if you wanted to, you could double check your work, see if you got the right answer. And the way you can double check is 364, 458, the sales, times 66%. You should get something really close to 242,000. Now the fixed costs come from our information up above. Our fixed costs are, well, they're fixed. They're staying the same, 242,000. Now check this out. Contribution margin, 242 minus away fixed costs. That means your net income would be 0. In other words, this is the point where we're breaking even. No net income. No, there's not a net loss, not a net income. We're breaking even. So we've proved that we got the right answer. Now let's figure out the margin of safety. It's easy to do. Here's the formula, folks. There's a couple formulas here. Very easy formulas. Current sales minus the break-even sales. Well, why don't we take care of that? Let's go ahead and do that. Now the current sales is what's on that traditional income statement. According to the traditional income statement, we have sales of 500,000. So all you do is write that down. All we do is come down to the break-even point here. This is the break-even sales, the break-even point. And we just write that number down. And we find the difference of those two, and we get 135,542. So what does this mean? So what this all means is that currently sales are $500,000. And sales could drop by 135,542 before they started losing money. So in fact, if sales drop by 135,542, they'd be at the break-even point. And if sales dropped any further than that, they'd start losing money. So this is a measure of how safe or how risky the company is. And of course, the higher the margin of safety, the better. Now let's figure out the percentage sales drop. So let's scoot down here. Here we go. Here's the formula. Percentage drop to break even. Here's the formula. It's really easy. It's the margin of safety, which we just figured out, divided by the current sales. So the margin of safety is right here, 135,542. That's the amount of sales that, it's the amount that sales could drop by before they would start losing money. Current sales is $500,000. And so all we do is go 135,542 divided by 500,000, and we get a percentage, 27%. So in other words, the sales could drop by 27% before they would start losing money. So if sales were to drop by 30% or 35%, they'd be losing money. So again, it's a measurement of how risky the company is. Now, is 27% good or bad? Well, it depends on the company. It depends on their goals. It depends on what they want. So you really can't say in this example, oh, 27% is good or bad. But at least they're operating above the break-even point and they are making money. That's the most important thing. So folks, here's what we did today. We found the break-even point, and from there we were able to find the margin of safety, and then we found the percentage drop to break even. So a lot of good information. Now I know I took my time on this, and but once you get the hang of it, you can do it really fast. It's really easy. In fact, I probably could have done it in about 3 minutes. But it takes a little while to explain it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you out. And if it did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, folks, I've got a webpage called accountingsuperstars.com, and I've got all these videos listed out by topic, so they're easier to find. So you can go to accountingsuperstars.com and look up the topic that you're interested in. Watch the video. There you go. It's all linked here to YouTube. So we'll see you now. You guys have a great day. Over and out.